Hello everyone and welcome to the Bearded Geeks, the weekly grab bag of topics covering movies, comics... What? How's it go? Movies, comics, video games, and TV. I fucked that. My name is Jages, I'm the Beard Master, and guess what? It's Patrick Brown.
Hey, I'm back.
How you going?
Good. That's probably the first time I've ever heard you stuff that one up.
I was so nervous, mate, because you're back. I was just like, I'm just the emotions that are running through me right now. It was too much.
Rattled him.
That was too much. And I'm thinking about God of War, but we'll get to that in a minute.
The bromance.
How you going?
Oh, good, mate. Good. How are you?
I'm bloody good, mate. I'm bloody good.
That's good.
I've been playing. I just want to talk about God of War.
Yeah, me too.
But we'll get to that. How you going? How you been?
Good, yeah. Been going off. I've had a lot of time off, as you know, and everyone's probably knows.
Babies. You're having a third one yet, or what's going on? What's going on? No, come on, you can tell me. Come on.
I'm going to cut the cord off now. Cut it out.
You heard it here first. Patrick Brown is getting a vasectomy.
No way.
He's getting the snip.
Put a rubber band around it.
That doesn't work, I don't think.
Isn't that what they do to sheep?
With their tails, isn't it? And their tails drop off or whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything about sheep. How's it going? How's Jackson going?
Yeah, he's good. We had a few. I mean, as usual with babies, we've had a few rough weeks here and there, and like his first month was pretty rough, and then now he's kind of like a switch has just gone, and he's a whole different baby, and he's sleeping, and everything's pretty good, and we just got all these good routines going. I find that the biggest problem is the 3-year-old Mason. So he's probably the most full on one. The baby's a piece of cake, and Mason's a bit full on, but it's pretty crazy having two.
He's got a brother to compete with now. So.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. He's got to. Now that there's little babies in the mix, he's
like, hang on a minute. I'm not number one anymore. I'm not top dog anymore.
Yeah, he's trying to get that attention a little bit more. And It goes a bit more full on, but
that's normal. I imagine it was probably the same for my brother because there's 2 years difference between me and my brother.
Yeah,
and then 2 years difference between me and my sister.
Yeah.
So I assume when she turned up, my brother and I were just like, what the fuck is this? Come on. It was bad enough we had to split it between the two of us.
Yeah.
Now 3? Jesus.
Yeah. Crazy. So
crazy.
I mean, it's good. It's been fun times. It's been pretty crazy and full on, but good.
You went to Melbourne, what was it, last month? About 5 weeks ago?
Yep. Yeah, that was awesome.
Tell us about that. What happened there? Why'd you go to Melbourne?
Well, I was originally commissioned by Marvel Australia to do they have an upcoming exhibition in Melbourne, and they're doing it in Sydney and Brisbane as well for Avengers Station, and they've set up like this massive expo there. It's pretty amazing. It's still going at the moment as well.
It's like interactive and that as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So you go in and it's like a big museum of Marvel's cinematic universe. You got all the Iron Man suits, you got Thor, everything's set up, even a big Hulk in there, and but this one's way more interactive, as in it's like you can do things that the Avengers do. You can even like put a VR headset thing on and be Iron Man, and like you're in the video game kind of thing, shooting bad guys as Iron Man, and there's a Hulk thing and a strength test and all this different kind of stuff. To see, the strength test was cool to see how strong you are. Which Avenger are you? Like, and
which Avenger were you?
Depending on how I went up to a little bit past Black Panther.
Ooh.
First go was funny because I was like right down really, really low at the beginning. Then I realized how you have to kind of maneuver the strength test with the grip. It's like a grip test. You got to squeeze it with your palm and your fingers at the same time. And but there was a trick to it, and that was good fun. And so they had me go to the launch event, and it was like a VIP one, which was crazy. Yeah. So for doing the artwork, I did some artwork for the promotional stuff, and went to the VIP event and.
But it was literally like fly over, fly back for you. So you were like back, over and back in like 24 hours.
That's it, yeah. It was just like a one night thing. And like, originally I thought, I went with Jimmy, and he's, a big Marvel nut. And we went.
So am I.
And it was pretty crazy. And we went up there and we turned up and we thought that it was just going to be, we knew it was like an event and like all that, but we thought it was just the exhibition, like, okay, we get to see it for the first time, go through, and maybe a couple of nibbles and stuff are around. But we went there and it was mostly like the exhibition, put that to the side. We're going to just have drinks and...
It was a VIP hangout.
It was like a big bloody Tony Stark thing. It was nuts. And
sounds shit anyway. I don't think I would have wanted to have gone.
And you spend all night, just drinking booze and eating nice food and stuff, and it was really good. And then check out the event later, and for the first time, it was really cool. It was really awesome. So.
Well, that sounds awful. I'm so glad I didn't go.
Well, there's 2 more, mate. I'll definitely get you along for another one if they.
Yeah, sure you will.
If they bring me along,
sure you will.
It'd be good.
I finished watching Lost in Space last night, the Netflix series Lost in Space.
How was it? I saw the first episode.
It's pretty good. Not bad at all. I quite liked it. It was a very solid show. I didn't feel like it really sort of excelled.
Yep.
Like, it was like, this is must-watch TV, kind of thing. But it wasn't terrible. So it was like, it was a really good, solid show.
Good watch.
But I was watching it and I'm like, they're stuck on this planet with all these other people and that. And I'm like, aren't they just meant to be like lost in space on their own? I bet you they end the series where they're lost in space on their own. And that's what they did. Spoilers! It was pretty good though. I would recommend people watching it, but everyone know what they're in for with that that show, that story. It's the Robinsons and they're lost in space by themselves and they've got to get back to wherever they're going.
It was like I was telling you the other day how I watched the first episode, but it was in the kids section on Netflix, and I was flicking through with my son Mason, and he's only 3, and and I saw Lost in Space. I was like, oh, this is all right. It's in the kids section, must be fine, and chucking on, and then he's loving it. It was really good. It was pretty intriguing, and then like halfway through it gets a little bit more edgier, and and I was like, oh, and he turns to me and he goes, better turn this off, it's a little bit naughty, he goes.
Naughty's his code for adult, isn't it?
Yeah, adult.
It's a bit grown up.
As in like it's a little bit too much for him.
I think that show is kind of okay for like probably 12 to 15
more teenage kind of.
It's fine, but maybe not for like 3-year-olds and that. No, he doesn't quite understand yet, but
it's like aliens and monsters and stuff, and
shooting shit and pew pew pew. Now, next week's episode is our 50th episode. We're doing our Avengers Infinity War review. So we're actually we've teed it up. We've shuffled days around so we can get everyone in. You're definitely coming.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Bobby's going to be here. I think it's just going to be the 3 of us. The old crew back together.
Hey!
And it's going to tee up with our 1-year anniversary of doing the pod.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So we would have been doing it for 12 months.
Perfect.
And, we might talk about that a little bit in that next week. We may be thinking about doing another giveaway for our 50th episode.
Yeah, nice.
We mentioned that the other day, but we haven't really talked about it yet. So we might tee that up for next week, maybe.
That'd be good.
12 months of doing the pod.
Yeah.
that's gone quick.
Yes. I still remember the first one. Like, remember how...
We had to get half drunk.
Remember how nervous we were?
I was so nervous. I had to have a few cans before I
remember
started.
You were sitting here and it was... I think we went through a few first runs. Like, you would like do a couple of testers, and I think it took about half an hour to get the groove going. Like, just
I think
mucking around.
Yeah, we teed up a time to do it, and then we got here and we're like, I think we need to have a drink or two first before we get started. And we had a couple of dry runs and that, like, we'll just start over, and we eventually got going.
Groove, didn't it? It was just like nothing. Like, as soon as we started talking, it just turned into our usual normal, like a natural chat. Like, and then it was fun, wasn't it?
I listened back to a couple of older episodes in the last week or so, and I'm just like, like I'm listening to the intro, and I'm just like, hello everyone, and welcome to the Bearded Geeks. It's very dialed back. But, like, I like how the show has sort of progressed and evolved, and I feel like, since you've been gone, it's got a little bit more lewd. There's so many dick jokes. So many dick jokes all the time. And let's not talk about last week and all the awesome shit. Jesus. Did you listen to last week's episode?
I did. That was full on.
Holy fuck.
It's funny though. It was pretty hilarious.
My brother texted me yesterday and he's like, just listen to the newest episode. Holy crap, you guys were loose this week, weren't you? Off the chain. I was just like, it wasn't me. But no, it was really good. Got some good feedback in that episode as well. The movie pictures and that. So we might make that a regular thing. So maybe once a month or every 5 or 6 weeks or something like that, we might do another installment of movie pictures.
Yeah, I love that.
Get our creativity going. Get you to come in.
I'd like to get in on that.
Pitch us Bad Boys 3.
Yeah.
I want to do this movie with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. It's just like Bad Boys. So you're saying it's Bad Boys, Pat? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, not really.
But this one's called Bad Men.
They're grown up now, you know.
Grown men.
Bad man. So yeah, 50th episode next week, our 1 year anniversary. We might do a giveaway. We just got to sort out some stuff to give away first.
Yeah.
Probably be Avengers related though. So yeah, look forward to hear about that.
Yeah. Nice.
Patrick Brown, yesterday. I've been waiting for it. God of War was released yesterday.
Oh, mate.
And yeah, it's blowing my mind. Actually, I'll be 100% honest with you.
Yeah.
I did a Patrick Brown the other night. Yesterday morning I woke up and I was like, fuck, I was dreaming about God of War last night. I was like,
pretty excited.
I've never like dreamt about something like that before, like being so excited. But yeah, like I think I played it probably for about, I probably put about 10 hours into it yesterday. 10 hours.
Really? You could easily get through that. Like, some games only go for 10 hours.
Yeah. No, I'm running around doing side stuff. Yeah. You know me, like, I want to do everything. I've got to find everything. I've got to solve every puzzle. I want to do everything. I want to take my time.
I had to work all day, and I'm sitting there seeing your
I'm texting you. I'm like, fuck, this game's the best.
It's amazing. I'm like, I gotta
wait.
This
combat's amazing.
I gotta wait till like 9 o'clock at night till I can get it on it. But it was, so jealous.
What'd you think?
Oh, I loved it.
How long did you play for last night? A couple of hours?
Probably near 3 hours, I reckon.
Yeah?
Yeah, oh, so good.
First impressions. Tell me your first impressions.
First impressions was like, it's actually, like, it's beyond what I thought. I was actually quite surprised and amazed. I got that amazement kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Because, especially with that first kind of big fight, I don't know, there's like, he's just... Kratos trying to be the family man. He's just trying to stay low, undercover.
Trying to work out how to be like a good dad.
Yeah, and that guy knocks on the door, and then it's just...
Oh, that bit was awesome.
He picks a fight with him. And it just went way beyond what I thought. It was almost like a big Dragon Ball Z kind of battle, or like Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And, the fights with Superman and Zod and everyone, like how epic those fights were.
Like it was great, but it still had sort of that epic, like over the top, like God of War, like picking up giant things and smashing people and
you really
punching them through mountains. And
you really feel like you're clinging on too, because your health bar's there. And I was like, I'm nearly down low. And then I felt like I managed to do it all in one hit without dying, but you just get that excitement because I'm like, I'm just on the brink of getting beaten down, and then you come back and you're raging out, and he gets that rage and really takes it out on him, and epic. I absolutely loved it, and just even walking around this, it's got a lot of heart to it, and I'm finding, they've really brought a lot of heart into Kratos. So.
Like the moment it's in the trailer, like where he hunts the deer and stuff, where he takes him hunting. And then he has to kill the deer and that, and he gets a bit upset, and Kratos sort of lifts up his hand to sort of touch him on the back, and he's like, oh, and then he sort of pulls back.
Like, just comfort
like, just give him a pat on the back, like, just rest your hand on him, give him a bit of comfort.
Be a dad.
I'm just like, I'm sure we'll get there in the end, but I'm just like, it's just pulling at me heartstrings, like, because you know, mate, because like, I played a couple of the last God of War games, and I really had, like, no real love for Kratos, because he was very one-note character. He's like, I'm very angry. You tricked me into killing my family. I'm pissed. I want to kill all the gods in that now. I just want to kill everyone. I'm angry all the time. I want revenge. And I was just like, oh man, like it's a cool game. Like big set pieces and that are really cool. But aside from that, like it's pretty, But now this, I'm like,
it's just made it taken it to a whole new level. And
how do you feel about moving around in the game? Because Kratos really feels like he's got that big weight, and that like when he runs. And
I don't mind it. I think at first, probably the first few seconds, I was like, I had to get used to how is this movement working and stuff, and it was quite smooth, really nice. I think the first few minutes, I was a bit like, I had to kind of get my bearings of it, but then I was like, you get the grasp of how the movements and mechanics work, and it's just I can't fault it. This game's near perfect. Like. Yeah, I don't have any issues with it. It's been really good.
The first couple of hours is really kind of just like, here's learn how to play and all that sort of thing. And that was really sort of a big thing for me, because I was like, just trying to like learn the controls and like where the buttons were. And I kept stuffing up. Like, I'd want to throw my axe or something like that, but I'd put my shield up. I'm like, fuck, I've hit the wrong button. And I just like orientating myself what actually, I was doing it like this morning. I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning. And I was like, I don't feel too bad. And then I laid in bed for like half hour or whatever. I'm like, I'm going to get up because I feel pretty good. I'm like, what am I going to do? Pat's coming in a couple of hours to do. I'm just going to play God of War. And like 7 a.m. this morning, I'm sitting there for like an hour and a half just playing God of War. I'm like, fuck, this is amazing.
Oh, nice.
What do you think of the combat? The Leviathan axe?
I really like it. It's really addictive to toss your axe out and then call it back.
Just recall it. It's the axe in the game. It's like Thor's hammer. You throw it, and you can hit a button and you recall it back to you, and he grabs it sort of in his hand, and it's fucking amazing.
It's just a lot of fun, even just throwing it like a tree or just something up top, and then I was trying to throw it at a bird flying around. It was a bird.
I did that too.
Flying in the sky, and I was trying to throw it at the perfect kind of, you have to judge it.
Yeah.
And then I'd call it back, and it just flings. You can actually see it. It's not just like I don't know, the way they've done it is it's like real time. It's still falling and coming back to you at the same time. It's like really, really cool.
I like how the two things about the axe that I really like. When you recall it and you catch it, there's like a shudder in the screen, like an impact, like when you grab it, like a boom, like it hits your hand and you grab it, and there's like this shudder impact in the screen. But I noticed I was just stuffing around last night, and like I threw the axe into like this bit of rock in front of me, and it was like embedded in the rock, and then I hit triangle to like recall it back, and it doesn't just like come back straight away. Like the handle, like the bottom of the handle, sort of like tilts out, and then it comes back to you like an edge. Nice. Like if you hit triangle, like the first thing that'll happen is the bottom of the handle like come out and go,
cool,
and you catch it, and
that's awesome.
Sick.
I really liked with the fighting and the mechanics of that. I love how heavy it is and how brutish the fighting is. Like just with your axe, and you're slamming them up, and they kind of, the enemy will be kind of in the air a bit, and then you smash them to the ground. And the heavy moves are really fun. There's that one if you hold R2 and you're charging your axe for a big wind up,
and you do the big heavy hit.
But the way that they animated it is like he's holding it and he's like kind of shaking and shivering a little bit, like he's really charging up a little bit of rage in that. Yeah. And then he smashes the absolute hell out of him. Awesome.
I am loving it. Back to front, inside and out.
Me too.
Like I'm sitting here doing this, I'm like, I just want to play God of War right now.
It's even fun to just fight with your fists as well.
Yeah.
Like you actually feel like you're doing a lot of damage.
That stuff's like encouraged as well, because you can throw your axe into an enemy and freeze them. Yeah. And then you can run up like to a different enemy and like punch the shit out of them. But the axe is cool because like if you throw... The like combat dynamic is really cool because you can throw an axe and knock down an enemy. Like you can aim for their legs and knock them down, and it'll be like behind them, and you'll have all these enemies running at you, and you can like move and orientate yourself so they're like right in front of you. Hit triangle, and when the axe comes back, it hits them all like as it comes back. It's awesome. Like even when it recalls, like you get that damage and that impact. I'm loving it. I love everything about it.
I think what it does as well, the way that they've done the fighting style in this is, it just really separates them from anything anyone's done yet in games. Because usually you think of a game like this, a button basher, or you're just fighting and it's just hitting or a weapon and stuff like that. But having the axe be like that and be separate, you can, like you said, throw it at someone and stick it in them for a while so they're freezing, and get onto the other guy and start hammering him with your fists and come back. It's like, it just changes everything up so much that it's just a lot different to any other game I've ever played. Yeah. I reckon, and it just separates it a lot.
Have you looked at like all the move sets and stuff? Because I looked at it and I found it a bit overwhelming, because there's all these moves you can unlock for your axe. There's all the shield moves, and then you've got when you're in Spartan Rage mode, there's more moves than that you can unlock there. Then you've got like all your runic attacks, like your magic attacks and that, like you can upgrade those. I'm like, fuck, there's just like... You play God of War 3 or something like that, and it's just like, square, 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 triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle, whatever. Like, these couple of combo moves. But you look at this, and like, it's kind of overwhelming how many different moves and that there are. I'm like, I'm not going to remember all these, like, But, yeah. And you can sort of tone it. It's like, sort of like fit it sort of to your playstyle. Yeah. I'm more of an axe guy, so I'll use runic attacks and stuff to like get guys away from me, or if there's like a group coming at me, I've got specific runic attacks to just sort of like deflect this group. But I'm more of an axe guy, so I'll run in there and I'll use my axe, or I'll toss it heaps and I'll roll around and get a couple of hits in and roll around. Very Dark Souls in that way, but.
And you know what else I really like is your little boy that's with you, and he's got the arrow,
Atreus,
the bow and arrow. He really I'm finding he's really useful. Usually
Oh,
you got
fuck yeah.
a little follower like that. It's just like, I'm, you're more of a lone wolf and you like to just do it all yourself. But there are parts where you kind of really need him, and all you could do is aim and press square to order him to shoot an arrow.
Yeah.
And I'm finding I'm doing that a lot, and I'm relying on him now a lot. So he's very useful.
He's really an integral part of the combat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's what I did. I made sure, like, when I first started playing yesterday, I put as much effort into upgrading him as I did myself.
Exactly.
So now I'm finding, I fought this guy this morning. I come out of this cave, and there's like this elemental, like, fire monster, rock monster thing coming at me, and he was really tough, so I was focused on him. But then when I got his health halfway down, I had like these other enemies, like little Draugr enemies, like flame guys, pop up, and I had like Atreus like focus on them. So I'm like, attack those guys while I, focused on this dude. But then I got further away from this other guy and like sort of behind some trees because he like throws projectiles and shit and that at you. So like while he was over there sort of distracted, I would run over and I would attack these guys, but what I would do is I'd get Atreus, like, behind them and fire a couple of arrows, and they'd get distracted, and they'd turn around and go for him, and give me the chance to run up behind him and get a couple of good attacks in from behind. It's brilliant,
isn't it? Yeah. That's very, very clever how they've done that. I love it.
Hey, find the shield combat, like having a shield and stuff.
Yeah, really good. Especially when you time it and like you just hit the button as they're about to clash with like hit you, and then you counter them back. It just feels really good when you've countered that, and then you got a good chance to hammer them.
I got this real great upgrade. It's if someone like fires a projectile at you, like a fireball or something. Yeah. If you like block it, if you time it right and block it right at the last second, you absorb the blast into your shield, but then you like fire it, like you absorb that energy and you fire it back at them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It does like this awesome animation where it's like, it drops down to slow-mo, and like when you like charge up this power, you get like all these sparks that go around the shield, like this big ring of sparks.
Oh, nice.
And then you fire it back at them, and that's good. That's a good one to have for to inflict heaps of damage.
Yeah, nice.
But I'm saving up for this one Spartan Rage. It's like the most expensive upgrade I have so far. It's like 10,000 XP.
Yep.
But when you're in Spartan Rage mode, you hit L2 and you rip like a giant boulder out of the ground and you just like throw it at enemies for like maximum damage.
Wow.
I'm saving up for that because I want that. But yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving everything about it.
Yeah, it's good. I can't wait to get into more.
The one thing I love the most about it is just the story, man.
Yeah.
Like, you've got, like, this father-son story. Like, they're kind of distant, and Kratos' wife, Atreus' mother, has died, and her last wishes were to take her ashes up to the highest peak in the realm, so up at the top of this mountain. So that's pretty much the crux of the entire game, is to get to the top of this mountain to, like, scatter her ashes. And, yeah, it's like this father-son sort of story, and Kratos sort of learning to become a good father,
because he sounded like he let the mum do everything, and he was
because he was
really
away
around.
heaps. He was off hunting and stuff. And
he never really.
Atreus always says like, "Yeah, you're never here. You're leaving me again," and all this stuff. And Kratos obviously cares, but he just doesn't know how to express that. He doesn't know how to be,
and that probably reflects a lot on his original storyline, where he back in the older games he actually already had a wife and some kids, I think, and they all got murdered. So he's probably finding it hard to attach, or try to do that again.
Just been angry for so long.
Yeah,
how to get past the anger and just be a parent. But yeah, I'm loving everything about it.
Yeah,
and the axe actually wasn't his to begin with; like it was left to him. It was his wife's. So I'm like, fuck, that was awesome, because she was a big warrior in that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They talk about in the game.
Yeah, cool.
At the beginning of the game, she was a warrior and stuff, and the axe actually belonged to her.
I didn't know that.
The dwarf tells you at the start when you first meet him. Yeah,
yep.
But I'm loving it. Everything about it.
Unreal.
Did you see the new Deadpool 2 trailer?
Yeah, I did.
While we're here. How fucking funny was that?
Oh, that was so funny. And that last few sequins with Peter.
Oh, Peter, yeah.
Peter,
where they're recruiting for...
me laugh out loud. I didn't expect that.
They're recruiting for their X-Force team, and they get like Domino and Shatterstar and all this sort of stuff. And they're like, oh, there's one more guy, like Peter. And like, so what's your power? He's like, I don't have one. He's like, I just saw the ad. He's like, I just, wanted to join. He's just like a regular dude, like a dad and stuff. And then he's just like, you're in. And there's this shot at the end where they're jumping out of the airplane, and he's got like a parachute on as well.
I literally laughed at it.
Oh, there was some great, like, there was some great fourth wall stuff in that.
Yeah.
They redid the scene from X-Men Origins Wolverine where he cuts the bullet in half and the bullet goes on the side.
Yeah.
That was from the X-Men Origins Wolverine in that first scene.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a Thanos crack and a DC Universe one. He's like, so dark. You sure you're not from the DC Universe? That was that was really good.
That was a good dig.
And the One-Eyed Willy one as well. That's from a Goonies throwback with Josh Brolin and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It looks really good.
It
it's
does.
out in less than a month.
Yeah.
4 weeks.
Can't wait.
Yeah. You're going to come to that show, do a Deadpool 2 episode?
I reckon.
You fucking better.
I'll try my hardest.
You better, mate. You been missing us, mate? Do you listen to the show and that when you're not here, or do you just prefer to listen to episodes that you're on?
No, I listened to the last one, and but yeah, I hadn't listened to it for a little bit, but I definitely got on it. It's not. Yeah, I've just been caught up in everything.
You're listening to other podcasts, aren't you?
Yeah, I got a few.
He just admits it. He admits it. You were meant to like defend yourself.
I've been getting around, mate.
Ultimately admit it. You've been cheating on us. You bastard. I'll remember that next week when we're on stage at this festival. I'm going to embarrass you so bad.
Oh, yeah.
I got one other thing I want to tell you. Did you see this news about the Witcher Netflix series?
Oh,
It won't be out until 2020.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And
Netflix.
it's mostly being shot in... it's all being shot in Eastern and Central Europe. And mostly in Poland, where the original book... Where the original writer's from, and where it's kind of like originally based. I think that's okay, because next year we get Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They're probably thinking the same thing as well.
Good
They're
timing,
like, okay,
really.
we'll just wait for Game of Thrones to get out of the way, and people will be hanging out for the next fantasy sword and magic show. And it might be The
I reckon
Witcher.
it'll be the next thing. I reckon it will be the next Game of Thrones.
Hopefully.
I bet you it will. And we don't have any casting or anything yet.
Nah, nothing like that yet, nah.
Look at Jamie Lannister in there.
Oh,
Geralt.
He's hanging off that Jamie Lannister. He'll probably be free after.
Gotta do it.
They're probably just hanging out for him to finish Game of Thrones and then just going to approach him because they're like, we'll get him easily. But maybe he wouldn't want to do it because he just come off of like a sword and magic show. So maybe he wouldn't want to do it. He's like,
as a lead.
as long as I have 2 hands.
Yeah. Oh, he'd be perfect, Geralt. He would.
I imagine he will. Yeah, he'd do pretty good, Geralt. All right, I'll let you have that. All right, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, me too.
Did you also see the article? There was another article yesterday, just incorporating the news into the opening bullshit segment here. But there was a Netflix article that said that Netflix now, they're a bigger company than like all the big ones like Sony and I think Fox and one or two, I think Warner Brothers as well. They have more money. They're a bigger like financial company.
Yeah.
And that Netflix are actually looking at the possibility of opening their own cinemas, like a Netflix chain cinema.
Wow.
So you could like, you know, the next Netflix movie's coming out, whatever it is.
That's crazy.
And you could go to a Netflix chain cinema and watch it.
Maybe they'll release the movies on the cinemas first, and then they'll wait 3 weeks or something, and then put it on the streaming service.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be an idea. Like, you could go and pay to see it. Like, we're going to screen it. That's going to be our model. We show something for a month, and then we put it on the streaming service.
Yeah.
That's what we're always going to do.
Give people the option to go and
and
see
that
it
will
on the
be
big screen.
something that people can, you know, they
I'd be
can
down
like,
for that.
they've been really good to us instead of like, you know, they get Star Wars back, just say, for example, and they're like, oh, we're going to put Star Wars out in cinemas for a month, and then it's going to go to the streaming services. Everyone's just going to be like, well, might as well just wait a month or whatever. But
they're putting a lot out lately, just original stuff of their own. Like, they're making their own shows and movies. It's surprising. A lot of them aren't really that great, I'm finding.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit on there, but there's a lot of good stuff in that as well.
But a lot of good ones, too.
The only problem I have now is, like, aside from, like, 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I could always find something to watch. I'd always, like, get through the movies and that I wanted.
Yeah.
But now there is too much. There is too much content, and I don't have as much time as I used to. So now I can sit there for half hour trying to pick something to watch because I don't want to pick something for an hour and a half and then it turns out to be shit. And I'm like, I wish I didn't watch that now. I wish I watched this other thing. And I get really indecisive about it. I'm like, I just wish, because like I don't have much time. I want to fill it with good quality stuff. I don't want to watch the shit.
Yeah, me
so
too.
like I'm not as, you know,
I always
willing
look up
to
reviews.
give something a chance, yeah, like I'll go to a review first. I'm like, oh, that got an 8 or a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give
if
it
I
a
find
go.
something on Netflix and I wonder, oh, what is that? I don't even know what it is. And yeah, I'll look up a quick review. The majority of the time, they're like 20% kind of Rotten Tomatoes.
While we're here, a film that actually got really good reviews that you kept talking about for the last few weeks when I've seen you.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
What was it called? The Joaquin Phoenix movie. What was it called?
You were never really here.
Yeah, you watched that the other night, and you text me straight after. Tell me, give us a short review. You're never really here.
I fell into that trap. I did. It was a bit of a trap.
It's a trap.
It's one of those like. So I'd call it probably a bit more of a one of those artsy kind of movies where it's the critics love it, but then because I read a review and I think it was IGN or someone did a review on it and called it like a masterpiece. It was like a 9 out of 10 or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it must be good then. I can't wait for that. And I was really eager to watch it. And then I saw it. I went and I watched it. And pushed through and it just fell into this kind of, I was like, what is this? It just quickly turned into a big pile of dog shit for me. I was like, Joaquin, his role in it, the way he was acting was great. He was solid, but
what's the actual premise?
Boring.
What's the actual premise?
The premise is like, so he's an ex veteran, I think, and he's really skilled, but he's quite old now. But he puts his time into tracking down missing children, like young girls that have been sold for sort of sex slavery and stuff like that.
Oh shit! Okay.
So he goes out. He's like a private detective in a way, but more brutish. Like he's more like a homeless bum version that's drinks and he's pretty traumatized as well by the stuff he's seen. I think he was an ex-cop as well, so he's seen a lot of crap. And like there's a bit where he's that traumatized by it. Must have been one of the kids he's tried to save before that have affected him. So when he's at home, he'll put himself in his closet for some reason and put a plastic bag over his head until he can barely breathe, and then he'll take it off because he just wants to feel what that kid felt or something, kind of thing. It's real dark. And then but then he goes out and like. This is what I mean. It's such a good story. The way that it's all set up, I'm like, yeah, I love the way. But
the way they've executed it,
they filmed it and dragged it out. Like I said to you, it's probably the entire hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever it went for could have been put in 20 minutes. That's like 20 minutes worth stretched right out to about 2 hours. It's like dragged and dragged. But it wasn't even that killed it for me. I'm pretty patient. I go through those kind of movies. The slow burn kind of ones, but it was more about like, okay, finally he gets this hammer. He's got this thing with a hammer. That's how he takes down all these guys. He goes in,
just bludgeons people to death.
Yeah, and bludgeons them. But all right, the action's about to go down, and he's like, oh, here we go. But then they cut to like a security cam footage from like the top of the corner of the wall, and you see it from a distance, dead silent with just a bit of white noise. And you just see it from a distance, and it doesn't even look that kind of real. Like it's not choreographed that great. It looks a bit awkward, and it just took all the impact out of it. It's just very toned down to boring. Okay, we're just, and then everything's just desaturated. And then later on, it's like they just cut the action completely, and you don't see him actually doing the killing. You just see like, oh, okay, there's a trail of bodies now, and that's it. There's just like. No, they just took everything out of it, and then it's just boring all the way through. Wow. Painful. It was painful for me. That's what it was like.
Wow.
I know, and I'm surprised it got like such a good rating.
It's funny because you say stuff like that because you were talking about it like last week or whatever. We got together last weekend. You're like, I've got that movie. I'm going to watch it. That Joaquin Phoenix movie. You're never really here or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, righto. And then you text me and I'm like, I kind of wanted to watch it, but now that you've said this, like I really want to watch it now.
Yeah. I would actually like to know what you think.
It was like the same thing with Mother, but I wanted to watch that and you watched it. And you're like, I got through it, but it's this and this and this. Okay. And then I watched it and I couldn't even get through it. Like, I got to the last 20 minutes and I was like, I have to stop. Yeah. One person I follow on Instagram, I think it was yesterday or the day before, just like put a post up about Mother, like, oh, I'm going to watch this for a first time. It's probably the most divisive movie of last year. What did everyone else think of it? And I was the first person to comment, and I was like, I can normally appreciate these kinds of films and I'll sit through them, but I just got to the last 20 minutes and I had to turn it off. I was like, I can't watch this anymore. And every other comment after that was like, best movie of last year. I loved it. It's this, it's that, it's this. And I'm like, I'm just that one guy that just... Because normally I can watch... Like, I know...
rubbish.
I know the subtext.
Horrible.
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I understand, but I just can't watch it. I can't stomach it. I can't stand it. Like, I understand what you're saying. I understand what this movie is. The underlying subtext in that. I understand. I get it. But... It's too much. It's too much for me. So I just had to turn it off. I was like, nah, no more. Turn it off. I haven't got time for this. I could have watched, bloody an episode of Power Rangers or something. I don't know. I can't even think of anything. I'm that angry. Now, soon as we're having our catch-up, Patrick Brown, I've wanted to talk about this for a couple of weeks. Yeah. Because I got through it, but no one else has beaten the game. But you just texted me the other day and you got through it. We both finished FarCry 5. Yeah. Let's talk about FarCry 5 for a bit.
I love it.
I played FarCry... I've only ever played FarCry 3, 4, and I played like the first hour and a half of Primal.
Yep.
And that was it. I haven't played the original 1 or 2 or whatever.
I've played them all. Apart from Primal.
You are such a gun.
Didn't play Primal though.
And we've talked about this before, like, I was on the fence about Far Cry 5. I'm like, do I get it? No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. One of us is going to have to get it. I got it. You got it. I smashed through it in a week. We had like a long weekend there and I was just playing it for like 6 to 10 hours a day. So I got through it in a week.
Yeah.
And, I finished it. Overall, I really liked the game. I quite liked it. What were your thoughts? Like, what was the last Far Cry game you played? Was it 4?
Yes, 4. I've played them all since way back when they first came out. And so, quite familiar. And I remember when I played 4, I don't know why, but that one I only got halfway through. I couldn't even finish it. I just didn't have a drive there.
It was too much of the same.
Yeah, it was just too repetitive.
The last game.
So when 5 came out, I don't know why, but even from the trailers, I got quite excited about it. I liked the look of it.
And just being set in America.
Yeah, the setting.
America.
Yeah, a lot different. It was actually quite nice to see them just take it home, to do it in that kind of setting with a cult. Like, I love those kind of movies and stuff like that. Cult, crazy kind of movies where they're just a bit, or thrillers, and it's just crazy hillbillies kind of thing. And I love that kind of thing. And I thought this is great. And so I got the game and started playing. I was instantly really hooked. I liked the mechanics. Everything was still very familiar with all Far Cry games, but definitely rehashed in some ways.
But they changed it enough so it felt fresh enough.
It did feel a bit
because
fresh.
Originally in the last couple of games you would have to... They addressed this at the start of the game too. You would have to climb a tower, and it was kind of like the Assassin's Creed thing. So you survey the area, and then on your mini map, like all the stuff pops up to do. Here's the missions. Here's the side stuff. Here's the outposts and that you got to take over. Here are all the things you got to blow up.
Yeah,
just go through and tick it off. But in this game, they've just like because it's all set in this fictional county called Hope County in Montana, and the premise is that this religious group sort of started up, and just over time they've gradually taken over this county and they've become like a full-blown cult. Like they're prophesizing like the end of the world. They call it the collapse, and the main guy who's behind it all, his name's Joseph Seed. They call him the father, and his 3 siblings, so John, Faith, and Jacob. And the game's broken into like 3 separate regions, and each of the siblings controls a region, and you just got to make your way through and take them all back. And once you defeat the 3 siblings in that, you can go and face Joseph at the very end. But yeah, it starts like that. So it's like, what was I talking about? I got off on a tangent. Yeah, but it's like that.
The setup.
Yeah, the setup. So, and when you get to Hope County and that, like the whole map's just like blacked out, like it's this fog over it. And it's just all about exploration. So like you can look on the map and you can see like a house or something that you're like, it doesn't say what it is or whatever. I wonder what that is. I'm just going to put a waypoint on that and I'm just going to travel there. And the main fun of the game is
exploring and creating your own story.
Exactly. And I'm glad that they put that, like, made it like that instead of actually, everything before was a bit too set out and gridded, you know, it was all, it's like, okay, these are your objectives, like, or just marked. You go up to a tower and then, okay, now you've discovered all this. But this is more encouraged to, go out, find it yourself.
Explore.
It's just a world. It's more realistic. It's like, okay, it's just in front of your eyes. What you see is what you find.
And the stuff in that you would find, like, there are, like, bunkers, because they live in a place where they prophesize the end of the world, the collapse. You know, you live in America and stuff. They're all like these fallout shelters, like underground bunkers and stuff. And you go in there and you can like discover like weird shit. Like you can go into a bunker and discover these guys that have been hunting like a Bigfoot and stuff. And you find like all these documents and stuff and audio messages. You can listen to them and that. But then you find other ones where like people have gone missing and all these interesting things that like happen. It's like, you know, some of them are like kind of funny and the others are like kind of dark and scary. And but yeah, it's just the exploration is probably the best bit because you know what I'm like I'll do everything sort of in an area. I'll do one thing, but like in the last couple of Far Cry games, I would just go out of my way to go to all the towers first, so I can unlock everything, and then I've just got this whole world of like missions and side
like
stuff
a system.
in that.
You set
and
it
it's
up.
very overwhelming because I'm like, now I'm just going off and ticking stuff off the list. Blow that up, take this over. But in this, you just like explore, run around.
Way more fun.
Hey,
in
what's
that
this
way.
over here? I'm here now. I'll deal with this now. Yeah,
it was really good like that, and it was just like you find like a farm, and then that's been taken over, and you're going. You want to... I always take the stealthy approach and try and do it all undetected, because you get a little bonus if you do. Yeah. And like $1,000 bonus or something like that. So I always tried to do that, but I was more 50-50 if I could.
Did you feel that stealth... there was really no stealth in this game? It was for shit. Like the enemy detection and that was just too good. Like you couldn't...
I found it kind of just reasonable. It was like... I know what you mean. It was really hard to do stealth, but then it just made me want to do it even more because, like, you know, as in like because it wouldn't really be that hard to spot a person lurking around, and maybe they were just trying to be more realistic. I don't know, but it was quite hard, and that's why I stuffed up a lot. Like sometimes I'd be like, I'm not doing it again, and I'd just start blasting my way through and finish it, you know, but. I had a lot of fun doing the stealth stuff. I'd use first half of the game. I went through with the bow and like the compound bow. I'd just use that like most of the time, and then I was always a silencer kind of type after that. But because
the game actually starts where you're flying into like their compound. You're teamed up with like a U.S. Marshal and that. And you're the local sheriff's department and that. You're going to arrest Joseph Seed.
Yeah.
So you go in to do it, but then obviously it doesn't work out. Everything goes pear-shaped, and a lot of people get killed and captured, and you play because you can create sort of your own character in the beginning of the game, male or female, and you're pretty much just this nameless sheriff's deputy. They just call you deputy or rook because you're the rookie deputy. And then kind of it's up to you, like, you get rescued sort of by one of this other guy. He's kind of like the local nut who's in the bunker and stuff, and he doesn't like to interact with people, and he doesn't trust the government and all this stuff. And then you just progressively just go out and set to liberating the county and all the different regions and taking down Joseph Seed. So I found it a bit kind of what's the word I'm after? Like disjointed. Like I didn't feel too attached to the character because he didn't have a name and he wasn't a somebody. Like, it's probably easier to project yourself into that character, but it was harder for me to connect.
I actually did find that as well. I agree with that because I almost feel like that kind of thing is outdated now, where your character not talking,
the nameless silent character,
being a mute. I almost feel like that's almost outdated now, and it needs to just be give him a voice, just have an actor come in and give them a script, do the stuff, make them an actual, you know, you feel like a nobody really, and especially when people are talking to you and they're having a conversation with you and you give nothing back, it just feels odd now in a game like this that looks so good and so realistic. And then it's just, on that side of things, it's a bit dead.
It's interesting you say that because with a nameless character and stuff who doesn't talk, it's easier to project yourself into that character.
Yeah.
And the experience feels like your own. Whereas you play
as a character with a name and their own voice and their own personality, you feel more protective of that character. Like, you have to, like, save that character. Oh, like, shit, whatever. Because I just replayed Dead Space 2 in the last couple of days. Before God of War came out, and I smashed it in 3 days because I'm a fucking gun.
Good effort.
Anyway, so I'm playing, but I play as in third person, so I play as Isaac Clarke. He's this guy with his character and a backstory and his own voice and all this sort of stuff. And I feel very protective of him because I want to get him through this story and that. Like, yeah, there's that disconnect, but on the flip side, I feel very protective of that character and I want to get them through it. But on the other side, like, I can easily project myself into a nameless character.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a detachment there. There's sort of a lifelessness to it. You're like, I know who I am or whatever. Like, this is just called my conduit to play all this sort of stuff. Yeah. Just call me deputy or rook or whatever and that. But that's one thing. It's kind of feel like that's kind of a tricky tightrope to walk. Like, what do you want to focus on more? Do you want to focus more on these side characters and creating interesting villains and stuff? Or do you want to, like, focus more on a main character who's mainly, like, you see through their eyes, you play as them, and it's more their story than it is yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I think I like a bit of, I don't mind the whole, it's hard to describe. It's like, I don't mind the whole mute thing at all, but then I do wish that there was some kind of interaction there that it just felt like, it's awkward when people try and talk to you and then you're not giving anything back. And then it's like, oh, you're a quiet type, are you? Stuff like that, you know.
How did you feel with the villains in this game? Because in, like, FarCry 3, obviously, with Vars, and then it's shit because we didn't expect it. Vars gets killed off halfway through the game, and then, like, Hoyt is the actual main villain and stuff. And then Far Cry 4, you had Parg and Min, so he was the only kind of guy. Like, you hear him over the radio on that heaps, but you don't really see him a lot, so there's not that interaction. But I read that Ubisoft and stuff, they was sick of doing, like, single villains and that. They wanted to make it more interesting and interactive and dynamic and whatever, so that's why they introduced, like, the main overlord, but then, like, the three siblings, so, like, you know, that character is the final goal, you know, and you see and hear from them a lot in the game, but you've got to focus on these three other ones, and then you sort of get intertwined into their stories, like, in their regions and that. I thought they were really good. I really liked all the siblings. John,
me too.
The way I did it, though, I wish I didn't do it this way. I just did a whole section first and then moved on to the next one. So I did John first and then Faith and then up to Jacob. But once I finished the game, I was like, oh, man, I really wish I sort of just went everywhere and did everything and just, like, chipped it all off sort of as I went, like, a little bit at a time, not focused on one. Because I feel like that was kind of like a detriment and stuff, because I felt like it took in the first section, because you've got this bar you've got to fill up before you can face the enemy, so you have to complete missions and blow stuff up and do all this shit and liberate areas and that, and then this meter gradually begins to fill, and once it fills up to full, then you can face the boss of that region. And so I felt like, to begin with, like, I did it pretty quick because I was playing pretty intently and stuff. It only took me like a couple of days to sort of fill that meter, and then I faced John. But when I went over to Faith's region, like, her meter filled up, like, I filled that up with, like, within a day or two. Like, I felt that went up a lot quicker than the last region and stuff. I was going to say that. I
found the exact same. I think the first region I found took me forever to do, and it was a lot of fun. I had so much fun in the first one. Second region, it was like half the time. And then I actually found that the top one with
Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob was probably even less. It was probably almost about the same as Faith's, but a little bit less. It was like I felt like there was only like 4 outposts in that one or something, you know, not many.
I think maybe it was designed that way because you get like the flat open sort of field farm area
and a lot of
John and stuff, and that's where you learn everything. And
the first one was so much fun. But yeah, another thing that annoyed me as well. I mean, like you said, I did enjoy the characters. I like the villains and the way the actors that portrayed them, especially Joseph. He was definitely the most maniac kind of sadistic kind of one, and the way that he portrayed himself was really good. But the one thing that annoyed me was at first, you know how when you get captured, and so it's like, okay, you're being hunted, or you got the bliss now, and you're about to get taken down. There's literally nothing you can do to get out of that.
No, you can't.
But the first 2 times or so that happened, I was like, oh, this is great. And I was trying to get away, and, you don't know if you can or you can't get away. And I don't know why, but the first one for me was great because all these bloody convoys were coming up, and I was like, oh, I got to hide in the bushes. And I started to run away, and then I got taken down. It felt more real, and I was like, this is really cool, and I'm captured now, and I got to get out of this. Is this part of the story or isn't it? But then happened a second time. I was like, okay, that's just coincidence then. I'm captured again. And then, but when it happens the next 5 or 6 times, and I'm like, all right, this is just it's a setup now. It just felt too consistent and too repetitive. I'm like,
because the meters the meters are broken into like 3 different sections. So like you fill it to the first section and enemies are more aware. You fill it to the second section and enemies are out looking for you, but there's helicopters as well. And then you fill it to the third, and then you face the boss. But in Faith's section, for an example, she isn't like a very like physical boss and stuff. She is in charge. There's this drug that they create to control people. It's called bliss. And so when you're overcome by this drug, you're very happy and it's very blissful and whatever, but you take it too long, it kind of turns you into like a mindless bloody attacking zombie. But when you do like these things like Faith, because when you're in her area, there's like bliss everywhere, so you're always like kind of affected by this drug. Yeah. And she just like appears out of nowhere, kind of like this fairy angel.
Like a vision.
Appear and disappear and all this sort of stuff. And I was built up to this section, like I had to face her and that, and she would keep appearing to me with like the mission icon above her head, and like I would have to talk to her and I would activate that main story mission. But I just kept avoiding it. I'm not ready yet. Like kept running and doing side stuff and that. But then I was running along the road and I saw this guy like on the side of the road, just like a generic villain and whatever. And he had just this girl tied up, like, cause you find people and you can free them and whatever, and you get points and stuff. But I found, like, this guy, and I killed him, and this girl was tied up on the ground, but she had, like, all the bliss stuff, like, the powdery shit and that around her head. I'm like, what's going on there? I haven't seen that before. But then as I started to untie her, I realized, I'm like, oh, fuck. And I untied her, and it was a trick. That was the main, like, story thing. They tricked me into doing that to activate the main story beat. That's
cool.
And I was like, damn it, you tricked me, you bastards! But yeah, some of that stuff was, like, hard to get around, because when you get to Jacob's area, he's got, like, he's in charge of, like, recruiting and training the army and stuff. So he sends, like, hunters and that after you who attack you. Like, you can't hear them coming because they're real stealthy. And then you just hear, and you, like, get hit in the back with an arrow, and then you, like, pass out and you wake up in the next story thing. So some of that stuff was, like, really hard to get around because, like, you could fill the meter pretty quick, but then you couldn't avoid those sections. So you you're trapped. The faster you filled it up, like you were trapped to like progressing
ready for the story yet.
Yeah,
I wanted
you're
to
like,
run around.
I just want to do more side stuff.
I wanted to explore that bunker right there, or But it just took any kind of realism out of the storyline for me. I happened to get away again. I escaped capture. I'm free again. Like the amount of times you escape death, kind of thing. And I like when it's a little bit more. They just took it too far. But that was all right, though. I mean, I know they had a system set up for that. But, yeah, I just wish that was a little bit... even if they did it half the amount of times, just like being captured and then you happen to get away again. It's like, and then... Yeah, so that was the only thing for me. But great game. I had so much fun with it.
Yep.
And taking down outposts is still the most addictive thing, like every other FarCry.
Yeah.
But... even just getting around was just hunting as well in general for animals, because you can sell all their skins.
Yep.
And make a hell of a lot of money. I actually found that I had like 60 grand by the time the game was done, and I had nothing to spend on. Like I had nothing to buy it with, you know.
Yep.
So yeah.
I really liked the game. I really liked the story. I liked like the whole cult aspect. Like we talked about this a few weeks ago. But like, say in GTA 5, for example, you've got like the cult up on the hill, and you can take the people, the altruist cult or whatever it is. Yeah. You can take the people up there and drop them off, and they pay you and stuff. Like, I like that sort of thing. Like, you get to this boarded gate, but you can't go in. You're like, I wonder what's happening in there, what they actually do. It's kind of mysterious and stuff. So I kind of like those cult aspect kind of games, like these end of the world, like Doomsday prophesizers and stuff. Before we talk about the big thing I want to talk about, you can recruit like companions and stuff and that in this game to like help you. I think they did it in Far Cry 2. I'm not really sure. I think I heard that. But you can, you know, like, one person's a sniper and the other person's like a stealth person with a bow and arrow, and then you get another guy who flies a plane and can do, like, bomb drops and stuff, and they follow you around. And you get a dog and stuff, but then you can also get, like, a bear and a cougar to, like, follow you around. So, like, you're just running down the road and you look to your right and there's a cougar running with you. You look to your left and there's a bear. There's a grizzly bear running with you called Cheeseburger.
Yeah, I always had Peaches.
Peaches,
the
yeah.
cougar.
I always used Boomer.
Yeah, I used him a lot at first.
Because when you get him, he shows enemy positions, like icons above their heads, so you know where the enemies and that are. And like we would get to an outpost, and I could just send him just to do a lap around the outpost and just mark all the enemies and stuff. And that I found that really useful. So I pretty much used him like all the time.
Yeah, Peaches was really good to take down enemies stealthily. I found I used, but then sometimes if an enemy does spot the cougar, they kind of look, oh, there's a cougar there, and then that'll almost raise alarms, which was annoying. But yeah, it was good when she'd kind of stay in the shadows, and then you just mark her to take down a certain guy, and then you kind of pick them off. I found that half the guys were picked off with her, so it was really cool.
All right, let's talk about the ending or endings.
Yeah.
So let's do a spoiler section here for people who haven't finished the game. Right. So we're going to do a spoiler section for the endings of the game, because this is like the main thing that I wanted to talk about. Now that Patrick's finally finished it, we can talk about it. Spoiler start now. Patrick Brown, there are 3 different endings in this game.
3?
Yes. Oh. I did the first one right at the beginning.
I didn't know
So
that.
when you go to arrest Joseph and you're like, put the handcuffs on him, Rook, I was like, this is going to be like Far Cry 4, because you can finish Far Cry 4 in like 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
So like, there's a scene where Pagan Min's at the dinner table and stuff, and he's like, I've just got to go answer this phone call. Don't go anywhere. And then you get up and like run away and grab guns and stuff, and that's where the game starts.
Yeah.
You can choose to sit there for like 5 to 15 minutes. I don't know how long it is. But then he comes back and he walks you through the compound and he takes you out the back to where your mum's grave thing was, and you put the ashes there or whatever, and then you jump in a helicopter and fly off, and that's the end of the game.
Oh, really?
But in this one, so like, there's a scene where at the start you go to arrest Joseph at his compound, and he puts his hands out, and you've got the button there to like put the handcuffs on him, and I'm like, this is going to be a Far Cry 4 thing. So I sat there for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then eventually the sheriff just like reaches over and he like pushes Joseph's hands down. He's like, don't worry about it, Rook. Like, shit's going to go down if we do this. And then you walk out of the church, and then that's it. And then the game ends. But then it reloads your previous save. So like, you know, you're back at the handcuff spot. So you put the handcuffs on him, and then that's where the game actually like really kicks off.
Yeah.
So at the end of the game, here we go.
Here we go.
Getting toward the end of the game, because Joseph always talks about the collapse. So he's like, there's going to be a collapse. There's going to be, you know, he doesn't talk about how it is, where it's going to be like a biblical end of the world, or it's going to be like the way the world's probably actually going to end in like nuclear war. We're all going to kill ourselves. We're going to blow each other up and all this sort of stuff. So, but then as you get toward the end of the game, like getting up to Joseph's section, if you actually change the radio stations down in the car, you get like all these news articles and that about like impending nuclear war.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
And then you get to the end of the game, you go to face Joseph, you've killed all his siblings, and you go there, and he's there, and you talk to him and stuff, and he gives you the option. He's like, look, he said, we can either do this, or he said, you can just walk away. If you choose to walk away, which isn't the ending I picked, which is the second ending, it's not the official ending. If you choose to walk away, Joseph forgives you for everything you've done. You go in, you grab your other like sheriff's deputies and stuff and that, and he lets you leave. So you don't have any other friends and stuff, just like your deputies and the sheriff.
Get in the car and go.
You get in the car and you go, and the sheriff's like, okay, we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back with the National Guard, and we're gonna fuck them. We're gonna fuck them real good. We're gonna put an end to this shit and whatever, and that's it. And then he turns the radio on, and because in Jacob's section he's been like mentally like manipulating you with this song, Only You, to trigger you when the song plays. It triggers you into like this rage and stuff. He turns the radio on, and the song starts to play, Only You, and then you start to get like the red ring like around the screen, like you get like full rage mode, and then it cuts to black before anything happens. But the real ending, like the proper ending that, the ending I consider proper, I don't know if Ubisoft consider it the same too, I imagine they do. If you decide to face Joseph, you fight him and stuff, and he's got all your friends and all your deputies and stuff. They're all controlled by Bliss, and they're attacking you. So you one by one, you take them down and you bring them out of it, and then you defeat Joseph. And you're like, that's it, Joseph, you're fucked now, we're going to take you in. And he's like, yeah, it's not true or whatever. And he's talking, then all of a sudden, like, boom, you get this massive flash behind him, and there's this massive mushroom cloud, like, in the background.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, get fucked, they're not. They're actually doing it. Ubisoft are doing it.
And Nuke just went off.
And Nuke's just gone off in the background, and then you've got to, like, everyone gets in the car, and you've got to, like, drive to the bunker, like, where you started at the start of the game, where the guy saved you in his bunker and that. Because it's the next island over. And you're driving there, and trees are falling over on fire, and it's like nuclear fallout. You're waiting for the explosion, like, to come and hit you. And in the end, you're about to get to the bunker, and the car gets hit by another car or a tree or something like that, flips over. Everyone else is dead, and Joseph is there, and he drags you into the bunker. And then you're trapped in the bunker with Joseph. So it's just you and Joseph, and he's like, the collapse has happened. He's like, now we just sit here and wait, and when we're done, we're going to go out. You and I will be, we'll rebuild the world and Eden's Gate and whatever, and we'll start this world over. I always prophesized this was going to happen, and then the game ends.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And you're like, holy fuck, that is like the ballsiest ending I've ever seen. It's actually epic. One of my favorite, like, video game endings ever. Because you know me, I love a fucking good bleak ending. I love a good bleak ending.
Bit dark.
And I was watching, I was like, oh, this is like, I love it. I love that they've gone this direction. Like, you kill the villain and then that's it, and everything's all. Because
then it's just nothing. Yeah, this is more memorable. And
what did you think of the ending?
Yeah, I loved it too. I was like, holy crap, because it gives you that shock. You're like, is this really happening? And then, you get in the car, and I was waiting for the aftershock to hit you, and but yeah, absolutely nuts. I'm thinking that they're gonna probably do, which I'd love to see. Told you about it the other day. Now that they've done this now, and the nuke's gone off, everything's like apocalyptic. I actually think they're gonna do another FarCry after this a couple of years from now. I bet it'll be an end of the world scenario where everything's blown to shit. It'll be basically Fallout again.
I don't know. I reckon because all these Far Cry games kind of exist in the same universe, because they reference the last 2 games in this one.
Yeah.
And they talk about actually 3 games, because there's a Primal reference in there as well.
Oh, really?
But there's a couple in there actually. But I don't see them making another Far Cry game without having to reference all this stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
Like, they'll have to reference it somehow. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or will they just start fresh and just do a different game? Will they do like a Far Cry game that's like a retro bloody 60s Far Cry game?
Oh, yeah, like an older one.
Who knows?
Because I think they are kind of running out of ideas, or, well, not really. I suppose there is a lot you can do. But I'd love to see an apocalyptic Far Cry. I think that'd be great. I think it'd be awesome. Just, I don't know, I like their mechanics, the way they've set up their games and stuff. Be like, do you know one thing that annoyed me about the game? Actually, again, I just remember.
Tell me.
With your scopes, with your sniper rifles and such, you go to zoom in, and you zoom in like, what, 2 millimeters?
Yeah.
You click it and you're like, I can still see the same kind of, it's like you haven't zoomed in at all. And you don't even have an advanced scope that can go right, like, really far in.
Yeah.
I found the scopes were rubbish. And I hated how they didn't have a knife in melee. Is it melee? Melee. Like, with takedowns, it was always just your fist. Like, it feels weird just
punching necks and
punching a guy in the back of the
head.
head.
Like, I want to, like, stab him in the head.
Yeah, like, you really want to be able to take him down. But, yeah, that was the only couple of things I didn't like. What else was there? There was something else I was going to talk about, but I can't remember now. But yeah, no, that ending was nuts. That was awesome.
I loved it. I loved everything about it.
Yeah,
and then I got the bug at the end of the credits, because like the game was because I played it in the first week and there was no patch until like after I finished the game. But the game was buggy in places and stuff. But then because I normally sit through the end credits and stuff, just sort of that wind down after I finish a game, and I was sitting through the credits, and these credits went for like, because I wasn't really watching them, I was just kind of like let them run, and if something played at the end. But I sat there for like 52 minutes, and then I found out afterwards that I wasn't actually watching it, but there was a bug in the credits, so when the credits finished, it just played them over like 3 or 4 times, 5 times.
Yeah.
And the music just kept playing, and like the music would restart.
I was going to say, 52 minutes. How many people worked on that?
I was like, holy fuck, these credits are long. And I sat there for like, and walking around the house for like 52 minutes because I timed it. It was fucked. But, there's a bug in those end credits. They probably only go for about 10 minutes, but yeah, there was a bug at the end.
Yeah.
I think that's end of spoilers, isn't it?
End of spoilers, yeah.
End of spoilers from Patrick Brown.
Good game.
What would you give Far Cry 5 out of 5 if you had to give it a numbered?
I'd give it a 4 out of 5 for me.
I'd give it a 4. Yeah.
That was that enjoyable for me. It was one of them games I got hooked on again. You know, I love those kind of games. Just, you're hooked. All you want to do is you're itching to play it. That kind of thing. That's when you know it's a good game.
I feel like it was Far Cry enough, but then it had like enough new stuff and changed enough to make it exciting. But I don't see them being able to like recycle this for the next game. Like, because if they just do all this again, I think that, that'll get people through, but, they'll have to add more new stuff, like more puzzly kind of stuff, more, this and that. Like, having the wingsuit and that's cool, but you can only sort of, like, you have to climb up to, like, certain areas to use the wingsuit and that.
It wasn't very useful in a lot.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even use that for the first 3/4 of the game, the wingsuit, because I wasn't even up high enough. I was always on the flat plains or... Yeah, so didn't really get much use out of that, but it was good when you did. It was really cool. Fishing was fun.
Yeah, I like the fishing. I did heaps of fishing as well.
Pretty hard sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed the fishing in this more than I did in Final Fantasy 15.
One thing annoyed me was, it shouldn't. I'm just an antisocial person, but when the co-op thing, how you can have a friend jump in and play as you with your story and everything. Like,
I think that's an actual thing you can trigger, so you can like have it turned on, so like people.
Mine was on all the time.
Yeah, I had mine turned off,
and then I'm just like playing. Conditions were perfect. I was like, the kids were in bed. I was like, I can sit down and play some games. And it's like, finally, and I was just 10 minutes in, I was like, this is awesome. I was like running around trying to take down an outpost. And then I hear like this little shuffle, and I was like, is that a mic? I was like, what is that? And then I just hear this go, hey. I'm like, oh, what was that? Who's that? And then there's like an online friend who I don't really know them, but jumped in, and an American guy, and he's just jumped in and just like, is that a player standing right next to me now? And then I'm just trying to enjoy it, and then you got to kind of do what they want to do and do what you both want to do.
Fuck that.
And then I spent the next hour just like roaming around doing. I was just like, I just want to wanted to do my thing.
Just wanted to do my thing.
I was in my flow,
This is the problem with you. You need to go through all your friends list from because back when Patrick Brown started to get famous, like people would just add him on Facebook and stuff, and he would just add anyone. Because they're fans, I can't really turn them away. I'm like, yeah, you can, but I think you need to go through and cull some of your friends lists. Get rid of all those weirdo stalkers and that from 12 years ago. Because do you really want weird people from Czechoslovakia or something like that, some weird country, staring at photos of your kids and commenting on photos of your kids? I'm alright
with a few of them, yeah.
A few of them, yeah, but not all the bloody weird ones. You just drop in on your Far Cry game when you're trying to get some me time.
After a few years, I stopped doing. I didn't accept anyone I didn't know. If I didn't know, I didn't
don't send
them.
Patrick Brown any friend requests because he won't add you.
No, it's good though. Good game. I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, I had a good time with it. Yeah. Would I go back and play it again? Maybe down the road, but I don't really replay sort of a lot of games anymore, unfortunately.
I traded mine.
Oh, did you really?
I traded mine for God of War already.
Oh.
I've only had it for 2 weeks.
Wow, we're not playing co-op then. Thanks, Pat. Yeah, right.
Only because I got to that point where I feel like I'd done everything and I've played enough. I've milked it. That's it. I've played enough games now to know I'll probably won't.
You'll never
go
back and play it. Yeah.
I've had a lot of games sitting there. I'm like, I might touch it one day. It sits there for 3 years and loses value. It's just yeah. So
it's all about that trade value.
I got God of War for $25 because I traded that, and what else did I trade? I can't remember. There was another game I traded.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
No, I actually kept that because I thought, I kind of want to play that again. Yeah, I can't remember. Another game. It was quite a recent one, actually.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Yep.
Patrick Brown, if people want to find you on the interwebs, where they go to find all your stuff, to look at, to like, and to share, and to comment, and post, and whatever, where can they go?
They can go to patrickbrownart.com. That's my official website. Find me on Facebook as well. My Facebook page is Patrick Brown Art. And DeviantArt as well. You can find me on there, just under Patrick Brown. That's it.
And wankspider.com/Patrick Brown.
And Instagram. I'm on there too. Go on Instagram.
What are you, Patrick Brown Art on Instagram, aren't you?
I think so.
Patrick. I can't even remember.
Just Patrick Brown Art, yeah. I try to keep it simple.
I'm sick of seeing all your bloody paid ads and that as well. Every time I get on Facebook, every time I get on Instagram, I scroll through, I'm like, oh, Pat's posted. Oh, no, wait, it's one of his stupid paid ads.
You got to sign up, mate. Get on there.
No, I can't afford that. Jesus. If you want to find the Bearded Geeks online, you can go to Facebook, facebook.com/Bearded Geeks Pod. We're also on, Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to listen to the show, you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Remember to subscribe, ring the bell, like, share, do all of that good stuff.
Do it.
And buy a fucking shirt off TeePublic, as Patrick Brown would say. Buy a t-shirt!
Buy a shirt.
All right, that might do it. Patrick Brown, I've missed you.
Very much, mate. I've missed you a lot.
Next week, 50th episode. 50th? 50th episode. We only missed 2 weeks out of last year because we had breaks. We had 2 breaks last year, one over Christmas and another one when we got worn out at the beginning. We had to have a break. I was like, fuck, I need a break. I'm just worn out.
Yeah.
But, next week, 50th episode, Avengers Infinity War. Go see it so you can listen to our show because we're going balls to the wall fucking spoilers.
Oh, I can't wait.
Spoilers.
I can't even handle it. I don't think I'm going to be able to handle it.
Spider-Man dies.
Oh, no. No.
Next week, 50th episode, Bearded Geeks podcast, Avengers Infinity War. Probably a giveaway too, so tune in.
I'll bring the tissues.
Oh. If Cap dies, I don't know what I'm going to do. All right, everyone, we'll see you next week. Next week, 50th episode, Avengers Infinity War, Bearded Geeks podcast. Let's do that thing. Hey!